There are many different art classes at Whiteland Community. Ceramics is one of those classes that allows you to get your hands dirty. Mrs. Nelson and Bryn Laster share some insight on this fun and artistic class.
Honestly, I think the most difficult part for me and many is glazing, because there's a variety of glazes you can work with and you don't always know how the colors are going to turn out. So it's a little iffy, but you just got to experiment, find what you like.
Oh, there's so much pain. There's so much pain in ceramics. There's a lot of having to know that it's not always going to work out. There's kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. It's very difficult as a teacher and as a student. There's so many parts along the way where things can break, they can fall apart, they can crack, they can dry out too soon, you can't add, it melts, there's a lot of heartbreak, and then it goes into the kiln and hopefully it makes out of the kiln and doesn't explode out of the kiln, and I have to break the news that things have blown up and I feel so bad.
It's not going to be perfect, and you live and you learn, and you can always recreate. Do your best, and you'll learn, and you'll eventually get to a point where it's like, I can do this.
It's working and practicing and trying in order to get there. And so the more that they try and the more that they do and practice and learn and want to learn and ask for help, the better they're gonna be. But a lot of kids kind of come in and they get defeated right away, and then they never really try, and they give up on something that they could potentially end up being pretty good at.
Both Mrs. Nelson and Bryn Laster share some details of their own experiences within ceramics.
I have taught I did 4 years at elementary up in Wisconsin, and then when I moved here, I think this is my 4th year here in Clark Pleasant teaching high school. So I didn't necessarily care that I taught, as long as it was art and ceramics was the part that was open. But I did have some experience already with some ceramic stuff that made me extra qualified to do it, I suppose you could say. But now that I'm in it, I really enjoy it, and I get to just do ceramics, so that's really nice. I don't have to worry about anything else. I get one medium, super easy to take care of, and I just focus on the one thing, which makes it a little bit easier.
I was actually took Intro to 3D, and that was actually the year of COVID. So my first 9 weeks, I was in the ceramics classroom, and then when it was time to move to Pope for sculpture, I never got sculpture. And I just stuck with ceramics because it's what I knew, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. So, and here I am 4 years later, taking one semester.
When I was in college, I took one class when I was in high school. I took a ceramics 1 class, and then I had always meant to take a ceramics 2 class, and it never quite fit in. And then in college, we had to take a ceramics course and a 3D course, and I ended up being a work study for the ceramics department. And so with that, I was able to learn a lot more about the different processes and stuff like that, and then I was able to kind of carry that through with my first job teaching elementary as well, and I did some ceramics with all the elementary kids as well, which was kind of fun.
I have created, for once you get a bit more open in the higher level classes, you can create your own work. And so I've created a cowboy boot after a real actual boot. I've created a dog head. I've created multiple vases. It's a variety of things. I've created a FFA project, which is Future Farmers America, and I did that of the officer symbols, so a bit more symbolic.
As of right now, I'll say Bryn, who is the only AP 3D student, Bryn Laster. She is the only AP 3D student that we have this year. We didn't have any for the last 2 years even, so she's the first one in a couple of years, and she's been focusing on some really interesting stuff. So she's got she's a good advocate for our ceramics program, especially because she is blind. She's both colorblind and has a visual impairment as well. So it's always really exciting to see her process of her making everything, because she goes about it a very different way than somebody with sight goes about things. And so she always has some fun things to say about it, coming from a very different perspective of art as a blind person.
I love her personality. She is so upgoing, upbeat. She just makes you smile, and it makes you just want to dig into get your hands dirty a bit more, because ceramics is very dirty, it's very dusty, messy. She's very encouraging.